like you. Be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Na Dior Pop. Sometimes, the loudest moments in a BTS concert are not the fireworks, not the screaming crowd, and not even the songs themselves. Sometimes, the moments people remember the most are the quiet ones. The tiny interactions hidden between rehearsals, the soft glances during soundcheck, the smiles that last only a second before disappearing under the stage lights. And that is exactly what happened during BTS World Tour ARIRANG in Mexico City, Soundcheck Day 1. Before the stadium fully transformed into a sea of purple lights, before the official performances began, there was already another story unfolding on stage. A softer story. A warmer story. One that ARMY immediately noticed the second Jimin and Jungkook walked out together. The atmosphere inside the venue was already emotional hours before the concert. Fans had traveled from different countries just to witness this tour, and the energy in Mexico City felt almost unreal. The cheers became deafening the moment the members appeared for soundcheck, casually dressed yet somehow glowing brighter than the stage itself. But among all 7 members, it didn't take long before fans' attention quietly shifted toward Jimin and Jungkook. Because from the very beginning, they stayed unusually close. Not in a dramatic way. Not in a way that screamed for attention. But in the kind of natural closeness that only makes people more emotional because it feels effortless. As BTS greeted the crowd, Jungkook was seen walking slightly behind Jimin at first, watching him with that familiar soft expression ARMY has noticed countless times over the years. Jimin waved enthusiastically toward the audience, his smile bright and playful, while Jungkook looked calmer, almost shy beneath the overwhelming screams filling the stadium. And then came the first moment that sent the entire fandom into chaos. While the members were adjusting their in-ear monitors and casually talking to staff, Jimin suddenly leaned closer toward Jungkook to say something near his ear. Nobody could hear what he said because of the loud music playing in the background, but Jungkook's reaction said everything. He instantly broke into a smile, the kind of smile he tries to hide by lowering his head. That tiny interaction lasted maybe 3 seconds. 3 seconds. Yet somehow, it became one of the most replayed moments of the entire soundcheck. Because there was something incredibly intimate about it. Not performative. Not exaggerated. Just comfortable. Familiar. Like 2 people who naturally exist inside each other's space without even thinking about it anymore. And ARMY noticed every detail. As rehearsals continued, the members spread out across the stage to practice formations. But even then, fans kept spotting Jimin and Jungkook unconsciously gravitating back toward one another. Whenever there was downtime between songs, they somehow ended up side by side again. At one point, Jungkook appeared to be stretching his shoulders while listening to instructions from the staff. Jimin glanced at him briefly, then reached out to lightly tap his arm before laughing about something. Jungkook immediately turned toward him with that unmistakably fond expression that fans know too well. It was small. So small that another person might completely miss it. But with Jikook, that has always been the thing. The smallest moments somehow feel the biggest. Especially because there's an emotional softness between them that becomes impossible to ignore during behind-the-scenes settings like soundchecks. On the main stage during official performances, BTS are global superstars, polished, powerful, larger than life. But during soundcheck, the atmosphere feels different. More relaxed. More real. And maybe that's why fans become even more emotional watching Jimin and Jungkook interact there. Because nothing feels scripted. One particular moment during day 1 quickly spread across social media only minutes after it happened. The members were preparing for the next song when Jimin suddenly started dancing around playfully near the center stage, making exaggerated movements to entertain the crowd. ARMY screamed immediately, laughing at how adorable he looked. Jungkook watched him from a few steps away. At first, he tried to stay serious. But then he started laughing too. Not the polite kind of laugh idols give for the camera, but a genuine one. His shoulders shook slightly as he looked at Jimin with pure amusement, completely distracted from everything else happening around him. And what made fans even softer was the way Jungkook kept watching him even after Jimin stopped dancing. It's always the lingering looks. The moments where one of them continues staring just a little longer than necessary. Those are the details ARMY never forgets. As the sun slowly began setting over Mexico City, the golden light inside the stadium created an almost cinematic atmosphere. The members continued rehearsing vocals while casually interacting with fans, and once again, Jimin and Jungkook became the center of attention without even trying. During one vocal check, Jungkook missed part of his timing because he was smiling at something Jimin did beside him. The members around them laughed immediately, while Jungkook shyly covered his face for a second before returning to rehearsal. Meanwhile, Jimin looked completely unbothered, almost proud that he had successfully distracted him. That playful dynamic has always been one of the reasons fans love watching them together. Jimin often brings out Jungkook's softest side. And Jungkook, in return, becomes visibly gentler around Jimin. It's subtle but impossible not to notice once you see it. Another unforgettable moment happened near the edge of the stage while BTS were greeting fans from different sections of the stadium. Jimin walked toward one side enthusiastically, waving both hands above his head while fans screamed his name. A few seconds later, Jungkook quietly followed behind him. Not because he needed to. Not because choreography required it. He simply followed. And somehow, that tiny act alone made thousands of fans emotional online afterward. Because sometimes intimacy is not about dramatic gestures. Sometimes intimacy is simply choosing to stay near someone whenever you can. As the soundcheck continued, fans also noticed how often Jimin and Jungkook mirrored each other's energy. When Jimin became playful, Jungkook relaxed more. When Jungkook laughed loudly, Jimin instantly looked happier too. Their moods seemed connected in a way that felt incredibly natural. At one point, Jimin sat briefly on the edge of the stage while talking to fans. Jungkook approached a moment later and stood beside him casually, listening while Jimin continued speaking and smiling toward the crowd. There was no grand interaction, no fan service, no obvious attempt to create a viral moment. And maybe that's exactly why fans couldn't stop talking about it afterward. Because genuine comfort always looks different. There's a quietness to it, a softness. The kind of connection that doesn't need attention because it already exists naturally. Many longtime ARMYs said Soundcheck Day 1 in Mexico City reminded them of older BTS eras, the years when Jimin and Jungkook's bond felt especially visible during rehearsals and behind-the-scenes clips. Watching them together again in such a relaxed environment brought back an overwhelming sense of nostalgia for many fans. Especially because both of them looked genuinely happy. Not exhausted. Not distant. Just comfortable. And after everything BTS has gone through over the years, the pressure, the schedules, the endless spotlight, seeing moments of genuine happiness between the members feels deeply emotional for fans now. Toward the end of the soundcheck, one final interaction completely sent social media into meltdown. As BTS prepared to leave the stage, the members lined up to say goodbye to ARMY. Jimin bowed warmly toward the audience, smiling brightly despite the long rehearsal. Jungkook stood beside him quietly, waving toward fans. Then suddenly, Jimin leaned slightly toward Jungkook again and said something. Nobody knows what it was. But Jungkook's reaction was immediate. He looked down with a shy smile, biting back laughter while lightly nudging Jimin with his shoulder. Jimin laughed too. And for a brief second, the two of them seemed completely lost in their own little world despite tens of thousands of people screaming around them. That moment lasted only seconds. Yet it instantly became one of the defining memories of Soundcheck Day 1. Because moments like that are impossible to fake. The warmth looked real. The comfort looked real. The affection looked real. And maybe that's why fans hold on to these interactions so tightly. Not because they need confirmation of anything, but because there's something beautiful about witnessing two people who clearly make each other feel safe and happy, even in the middle of chaos, noise, and overwhelming attention. By the time BTS finally left the stage, the stadium was still buzzing with emotion. Fans weren't only talking about the upcoming concert anymore. They were replaying every tiny Jikook interaction they had just witnessed. The glances, the laughter, the quiet closeness, the way they kept finding each other naturally throughout the rehearsal. And perhaps that's the magic of Jimin and Jungkook. They never need dramatic moments to leave an impact. Sometimes all it takes is a smile across the stage, a gentle nudge, a whispered comment no one else can hear. And suddenly, thousands of people feel emotional at once. BTS World Tour ARIRANG in Mexico City had not even officially begun yet, but for many armies, Soundcheck Day 1 already became unforgettable. Because beyond the music, beyond the massive stadium, beyond the global superstar image, fans witnessed something softer. A connection that still feels warm after all these years. And under the golden Mexico City sky, surrounded by purple lights and endless cheers, Jimin and Jungkook once again reminded everyone why their smallest moments continue to mean so much. Purple Heart.